nothing to be done for Gravitas here. They're even aware of it. Gozo here, and that is the ultimate connected.
Themselves into a false hold. Fighting for defenders off these guards.
Only player to lock in this main. There is just no damage for the Chiefs. Raiden gets the first pentakill of the LCO.
Ladies and gentle nerds, welcome. The DoorDash LCO is starting for day number 8, and we're all damn excited. I'm Mac. I'm here to bring in the show, talk about stuff, and then ask very intriguing, thought-provoking questions to the rest of the talent on the show. But before that, we're finally at the end of the first round robin and about to head into the second. So let's have a quick look back at what happened yesterday and some of the sick plays that went down.
This is a little bit too much. Civil, he's already burnt that stopwatch, mind you, so going to be very susceptible to dying here. The repel goes out, but now he's got his Zonias, and he can flash and receive a Karma Shield to disengage away. The members, the Bruiser Boys of Mammoth, flashing to commit, but they can't find the resets, they can't find the kills. It's going to be a flawless ace for Legacy. Yet to see who that one might be, but Gunkrab gets locked in place so far. Swave jumping in. Top lane. The Ruthless Onslaught is absolutely huge, knocks up 4 people. But Gunkrab dies anyway, it doesn't seem to matter. The Direwolves are finding 2, only found 2, but it's a battle between both these junglers who can get the uptime, who can try and turn things around, who can get the chance to be the hero on this occasion. A shot.
They've just started it.
Yeah, as soon as I see Chaz back in the base, he does have TP, but he has to respond to all those supers, looking to try and crash the game. He's looking for the poke, but he'll look for the execute too. Fate School comes out, Decoy goes the wrong way, but still somehow survives. Glacial Fissure locks them in place, and here comes the Void Rush, and there's the damage elite from Meccano, pouncing upon the enemy support player, looking for a kill. Forget Yale to go for the fight and go for the game-ending play. Praetor does find a kill. He takes out the jungler, but it is Kiyose that is just finding reset after reset. Praetor sidesteps, but not for much longer. Gravitas are swarming the opposition with numbers, with damage, and just outright confidence, and will finally get themselves an ace to end this game.
That's a... Oh, they're diving.
Oh, Lisa just going to full-on commit. There's the depth charge onto 2 people, followed there by the Ruthless Onslaught. Looking to lock in piece, and they're going to find them. Chungy's dead. They're going to find a second as Puma's removed. Violet comes up huge.
Well, some banger games coming up today. And to bring you all the action alongside myself, let's bring in who we have initially. Who is it? It's Rusty. It's Elfish Guy. Welcome back. How you guys doing?
Hey, good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, thanks.
Just
Thanks for
what I
asking,
like to
actually,
see.
Mac.
Yeah.
Feels good to, be noticed.
Well,
Yeah, good,
you
man.
have been noticed. I hope you're enjoying my noticing skills.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Yep. What about you, Rusty?
It's a great
I
start
noticed
to
you.
the show.
Oh, you're wearing a scarf.
It's
What are you
cold,
doing?
but-
Look,
okay.
Mr. Fancy. Look at you, hey?
So it's cold, but it's not cold enough that I want a jacket on because I'm going to take this off, right? So I went tactical with the way that I thought about what I was going to wear. And during the game, 100%, I'm not going to have the scarf on anymore. So we're starting cold. We'll warm up as we go.
Okay, so which part are you going to take off? I think the people at home are going to be asking.
Well, I'm
that
going to keep the scarf on, Mac.
question. Okay.
Of course, the scarf.
Oh. Now I'm disappointed. Anyway, let's move forward. Let's have a quick chat about where the teams are all currently sitting. Of course, we'll have a quick look at the standings. You got Chiefs up there, 6-1, Peace 5-2, Gravitas, Pentanet, and Order all on that 4-3. Then you got Legacy on 3-4, Direwolves in 7th at 2-5, and Mammoth still with that 0-7. And neither of you two were on the show yesterday. So, Rusty, tell us your thoughts on where everyone is and why it's surprising or why you already expected it. I don't know.
I think there's been a lot of interesting discussions lately and a bit of discord around that as well as to where everybody actually sits in standings. And I think, first of all, it's amazing how fluid our standings currently are. I think right now you can say that Mammoth is last and Chiefs are first, but everything in the middle is a little bit more muddled, right? And one that's very exciting as a viewer, and as a player, it's probably terrifying, but for us, we get to sit here and shop every day and say, oh my God, what a brand new change in the standings again. Didn't see that one coming because we genuinely didn't. And that's amazing for us, right, as people that get to watch that live.
And what about you, Jordan? You weren't here yesterday. Any thoughts on the standings before we move along and get into the meat and potatoes?
Yeah, look, I mean, I did get a couple of predictions wrong, Max, so I'm glad you've thrown me under the bus with that one. I was a little bit surprised with the Gravitas win over Pentanet. I'll be honest about that. I think Peace getting the better of Order, that probably makes a bit of sense. You know, although I did predict Order, they seem to have sort of got their stuff together a little bit, Peace. So I guess, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Pentanet that low down the list. I think, you know, we could have said some excuses. We could have said this and that about them earlier on the last couple of weeks, but now it's starting to get to be a little bit worrisome maybe for Pentanet. So I'm hoping they're going to be able to turn their season around. Otherwise, I mean, they're certainly not looking like the team they were last split, so we'll see what happens.
Yes, so times seem to have changed at the moment, but let's have a look at what games we are going to be watching today here on the DoorDash LCO. Of course, 6 p.m. We've got Legacy going up against Gravitas. That should be a bit of a banger. Gravitas obviously on a nice little couple of win streak lately. Mammoth and Order going head-to-head. That should be interesting at 7 p.m. We'll see if Order can hold down the fort or if Mammoth can get that first dub on the board. 8 p.m. Chiefs and Peace going head-to-head. Can Peace finally get some revenge or take them down a second time, as Chiefs are looking for, is it 7 in a row now? It looks like they're going to be trying to go for gold. And then at 9 p.m. Direwolves and Pentanet doing a bit of a dance. We'll see if Pentanet can lock things down, because Direwolves are looking a bit shaky at the moment. Rusty, what's your game of the day out of this one?
You know what? I couldn't pick. I knew you were going to ask this question. I was like, what am I more excited for? I'm going to pick Peace and Chiefs, but I think game one's interesting in its own right, because these are two teams that were definitely struggling in the first split that have found footing. So I'm really excited for that one. But like, Peace getting a win yesterday, showing that, again, they still have the players and the ability to take wins from anyone. Going up against, obviously, the first place team and being close on the standings, to me, is what I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that last game goes as well, to, you know, really see if Direwolves are able to start to turn things around, or if it's still, you know, a little bit stuck on the uphill and not able to get the foot on the accelerator, because that seems sort of where they are at the moment. And, you know, going into the start of this second part of the round robin, you'd expect that they would have started to work out the kinks, but so far, I don't know. Jordan, what about you? What's your favorite game looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the one that draws my attention the most would have been the Peace vs Chiefs one, and I think that's probably for obvious reasons. It's the battle for first place, in a sense. Legacy vs Gravitas, I'll agree with Rusty as well. I think is quite an interesting, intriguing one, but I sort of also have to throw my hat in the ring for the Direwolves Pentanet game. I think both of those two teams have been having a really rough run so far this split, and I mean, at least one of them is going to come out with a win, so hopefully that's enough for either Direwolves or Pentanet, as I said, to sort of start to turn their season around a little bit, because they are definitely in dire need of doing so.
Yeah, I guess we'll see once we do get towards the end of the night. But before that, Rusty, I heard you want to have a bit of a rant. We've got the key picks for today, and it's you ranting about the bot lane.
Yeah, look, I wasn't sure that it'd be a rant today. I really just wanted to talk about the bottom lane more in general. The first thing that came up, if you saw the leaks on LCO Twitter, was about Thresh. Thresh currently at a 16% win rate with 2 wins and 10 losses. And I was looking into the champion itself, right? Like, is there a particular team favoring it? Is there a particular matchup against it? And there was legitimately no data to indicate that it's been counted in any way. It is quite simply that the Thresh players are losing. They often have a good AD carry paired with it. It's not a case of a lower team against the higher team in the standings. So I was left wondering exactly what is going on with Thresh and why these teams are losing with it. Because globally, Thresh has a 70% presence, is the most seen champion in League of Legends right now, picked or banned, and has a 50% win rate. So there's really no excuse that Oceania is sitting at 16% with only 2 wins on the pick. And ultimately, like, first of all, let's just quickly say why Thresh is super good, is because it's an all-rounder champion, right? It's a hook champion that can make plays, but also has a lantern to protect and enable unique AD carry options, make Varus more aggressive, make Aphelios an option in the first place, couples really well with Kalista. So I just want to see more from our Thresh players in the way of actually playing well and getting wins. And it could just be a case of we have no hands when it comes to playing Thresh, right? Nautilus, the second champion that I have paired with it, the reason that I put Nautilus there is because it has an exceptionally high win rate in a stark contrast to that of Thresh. I think it's about 65%, 67% win rate now. And ultimately, why that it probably is because Nautilus is like the brain-dead Thresh. You just throw your Q, and if it hits, you're going to win the trade because your Nautilus, who has follow-up crowd control and an aftershock, So my solution to everyone in Oceania, right? If you've decided I have no hands and can't play Thresh, play Nautilus. Look at Lisa. He's learning the role. He's like 3 days in and he picks Nautilus and they win. Peace have proven the recipe works. Kalista actually is one of the most oppressive champions that I've seen in bottom lane right now. If you haven't noticed, the trend is currently bottom lane. Kalista has a 75% win rate in China with a pretty significant pick rate and is 60% in Korea. So you can't really say the excuse of aggressive teams or regions only make it work. Kalista's just good. It operates extremely well into Ezreal, which has currently been pick of the litter for a lot of AD carries right now and is a great counter pick. There's a lot of evidence going against it if you think back to yesterday, Mac, but at the same time, I think that doesn't do Kalista justice. You can also build Wit's End, which is one of the big things that can bring Kalista in if they have a magic damage composition. So I'm looking for more of that pick. And Varus is best in role, I think, at the moment still.
Oh.
Blind pick AD carry, basically, right? You can pick the Thresh with it and be super aggressive. You can play on-hit Varus. You can play lethality Varus. We've seen mix-ups of that. We've seen different summoner spells. There's really no reason not to be picking Varus if it's available, I think. And the reason that I put Varus on this list is because we can put Ashe in the bin, please, and just pick Varus instead. Because I think Ashe is terrible, where Varus is kind of just the better version in almost every single way. In the past, they used to be basically on the same level. But right now, I think Varus is just the best.
Yeah, you forgot to mention as well that Nautilus has a bigger hook than Thresh too.
It is a big hook.
Yeah,
It's an unfair hook.
very wide, and it can drag him onto things. So, I've played a bit of Naut before. I just wanted you to know that, Rusty. So, are you proud of me?
I am for playing the correct champion for an off-roll.
There you go. And it's easy because it's tanky too, so you don't die too much. For all you noobs out there, Mac, you noob-friendly noob. Just advice from Mac. Anyway, moving forward, we do have to talk about from the fans, mostly because we need to plug it more and let you guys know that we don't have any content to show you at the start of the show today because you're all lazy. Just send in your OPGG, send in your sick plays. It's not that hard to put a video up on Twitter and at LCO say, hey, check this one out. You know, obviously, we don't have Jubes here today yet, but we will have him. What? Yeah, exactly. What? You know. But if you do want to see Jubes on the show, you know, at LCO say we want more Jubes, and maybe you'll get it as well. And with a picture of yourself with the hashtag GroovyJuvie, and he might just appear at some point. Now, so no content other than that, but you guys could make some content. Speaking of content, we do have a solid video here to show you. So before we jump in, actually, if you two here could remove a champion from the game, which would it be? Rusty, you first.
Oh, is that even a question? Yuumi has to be gone. Eradicate Yuumi from its very existence. Pretend it was never invented in the first place. I honestly, most champions that are cats in League of Legends can probably be removed.
So you hate Rengar too?
Oh my god, top two. Absolutely. Rengar and Yuumi are my top two. Nidalee's just got the unfortunate third role. I don't necessarily need to, but I'm willing to say cats in solidarity.
Okay.
They're all good
Jordan?
options. I have so many, Mac. I was sort of joking about this before the show. I said, you know, it would be a better question to ask me, which champion would I like to keep in the game? Because there's just so many now that I find just obnoxious to deal with. I think I have to go with Lulu at the moment. I just feel like she's unfair in terms of you don't even have to really play the game. It's like the same vein of Yuumi, right? You don't even really have to do anything as Lulu. All you have to do is follow some guy around, press E and press R every now and then. Sometimes you press W, make him run fast, and then he does the rest for you. It doesn't feel like playing the game. So let's get rid of Lulu. I think she's not very fair.
All right. Well, I'm going to say Alistair, mostly because he's more jacked than me, and it kind of makes me feel incompetent. But let's have a look at what the pros think.
Remove a champion from the game, 100% it'd be Shaco. I hate that character with a burning passion.
I would remove Yuumi. No skill champ.
I'll probably say Olaf.
Viego, instantly. I don't even have to think about it. That champion, just, I don't even know. I don't have any words for it at all.
I would definitely remove Yuumi, because Yuumi, I think, is the embodiment of everything that League players find frustrating.
I would definitely remove Yuumi from the game. Shaco or Trinity, 100%.
I think as an ADC player, I have to say Yasuo. The Wind Wall is the most annoying thing as a ranged champion.
Oh, I want to say Janna. I'm just, that champion is like, it's like, imagine installing League of Legends and then picking and playing Janna. I don't get it.
I think if I had to remove a champion from game, I'd remove Yumi.
Yeah, Yumi for sure.
I think it's gonna have to be Shaker.
Shaker.
Another champion like more disgusting, but no, it's just Shaker. Just remove Shaker, please.
Shaco above all others. This champ is so unskilled.
Akali, when I just play against Akali, I really hate because he has like so many dash.
Maybe Malphite, but I love playing Malphite. Like, I hate versing Malphite, but I love playing Malphite.
I think it's Qiana. Wukong. Just something about Wukong players, man. They're not very smart.
Definitely Qiana. That champ's overtuned. Mark Yeater, if you're watching this, I mean, you need to nerf Qiana, please. I can't play solo queue unless it's banned.
Well, Shaco and Yumi certainly looking like they take the cake there. So, we might be able to get an opinion from another person who we can bring in on the desk. Jubes. Jubes, you there? Oh, he is.
I've managed to find my way in. I've managed to weasel my way into another broadcast. Don't ask how, but let's just say I know some people behind the scenes. Let's just say that.
Right. And it's not because Nat was busy today.
You didn't have to do me like that, did you? Did you really feel the need to do me like that?
I just wanted to check.
I was trying to
clarify.
I was trying to be mysterious, and I was trying to make it, I guess, make people think the world works in ways in which I can control. However, I have no control over what Nat does, and Nat unfortunately couldn't be here, so.
Well, there you go.
I'm second choice.
Well, I think there are people out there that would have believed you and thought that you just threw Nat off the show. From what I heard about, when you turned up last week too. So anyway, what's your least favorite champ and what would you remove from the game?
Oh, to be honest, I was not even expecting you to ask me, but yeah, it would be Yumi. I think there's too many elo-inflated Yumi players and we need to get rid of them.
Ooh, anyone you want to throw under the bus there?
I think Rusty knows exactly who I'm thinking of. But no names. Friendly, it's a family-friendly show here.
I did see Pabu's been playing a bit of it when he gets that
Has
off-roll. I think so,
yeah.
Unless he was...
He's probably a good champ to play off-roll, to be honest.
You know who I'm on tumultuous ground with right now is Dragku, because he is a prolific Yumi player. And like that just really grinds my gears that he's a professional player and he's actively playing Yumi as well.
And
there you go.
I've actually been on comms with him before when he's playing Yumi and he's meowing the whole time. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm going to change the subject to the game. Legacy and Gravitas. It's going to be a banger matchup. A few of us here have said it might just be the most entertaining game of the day, but let's talk Legacy first. Now, Jubes, you are the guest on the show. Tell me why you love Legacy.
Oh, well, because they're actually improving week on week. They're getting better, and they're actually showing us the adaptability that we want to see in the league, right? They're diversifying their champion pools. Sybil's still going back to his pocket picks, and they're working. But for me, the biggest thing is that we're seeing Winterer actually expand on his pool. He's not playing the Azir top and hindering his team now, right? He's actually opting in for Karma, Lulu, and then when he needs to play a carry, he can. And obviously, this game was a little bit down to fake Curcio, but if you remember to the start of this game, Winterer had a blinder. He started off the lane with like 2 or 3 kills, had a very solid performance. And I mean, this is against a Mammoth team who hasn't won a game. But in all honesty, this is where I was the most concerned for Legacy, because Mammoth was showing us a little bit of grunt, and they were improving week upon week and getting closer and closer to that win. But Legacy really just shut it down.
Yeah, and you were watching that one on the sidelines there, Rusty. So, any thoughts on that Mammoth game against Legacy?
Yeah, for me, I think there's a lot of reliance on Gudo getting ahead early, and that's what I'm going to be highlighting through most of Mammoth's games at the moment. But they've already shown that they have the capabilities to team fight and get those leads. I guess we have high expectations for the man with a lot of pressure on him.
Okay, and now let's have a quick chat about Gravitas. Jordan, you want to take us through the star-studded up-and-coming lineup here?
I mean, I think you can kind of say the same thing about Gravitas as you can say about Legacy, right? They've been going from strength to strength this season. They've really impressed us, and I think they continue to come into like almost every single game as the underdog. I don't know that we've all sort of come around yet to Gravitas. There's a lot of predictions that are going against them, but they're finding themselves quite a few cheeky wins here. And in the first couple of weeks, I was saying, oh, this is good, that's nice. Are they going to be able to do that on a consistent basis? And I think, well, now we're into to week 4. We're into the second round robin. They've got a 4-3 record, and there's no reason to imagine that they're not going to be able to continue this throughout the rest of the split. So, I mean, I suppose the real question that we start to ask ourselves now is Gravitas a playoffs contender team?
Yeah, that's the best sort of question you can be asking. And Rusty, because I know nothing about this game, how about you answer it?
I mean, for me, looking at Gravitas, they've got enough wins already to say that they're a contender for making playoffs. It's hard to say beyond just making playoffs what they would look like, but already in this split, we've seen a lot of adaptations from them, right? Where originally it was like, has to be Saffron Camille, and only when he's on carries do they look good, and now he's got Aatrox and he's teleporting to plays bottom, and they still look good. So they're starting to really round themselves off.
Well, head-to-head, who do you think's going to take this one, you reckon?
Ooh. Well, what are you asking for our prediction, Mac? Is that where we're going?
Not asking predictions.
Okay.
It certainly sounded like I was asking.
difficult to make an answer there, then, if you're not asking for our prediction.
Well, while you stew on that question, Juice, you got someone down on the sideline.
Sideline, I have Incurcio and Thomas Shen, probably, well, not probably, two of the fan favorites. And I'm going to start off by saying two of my favorite as well, and I'm going to cop it from Mac because I call everyone my favorite. But gentlemen, how are we?
Yeah, we're good. What's up?
Very good.
Oh, yeah. Good, good. Incurcio, a little bit of a tear at the moment. Even kind of expanding on that champion pool. I know we hype up the Katarina a lot, but showing us a little bit of proficiency on that Lucian now. Is that something that you've gone away and done? Worked on diversifying your champion pool?
I mean, yeah, we've been diversifying the champion pool, but I've always known how to play Lucian because I used to play ADC until like Season 7, and I got to Diamond playing ADC, and then I swapped to mid. So I've been pretty good with Lucian for a while.
And then Thomas Shen, what was that like winning, yesterday, building on the win streak that you have, getting the Gravitas glory about, and I know it was actually a bit of a spicy post-game interview from you. And how did that feel? Just beating, I guess, they're not the Giants anymore, but they were the Giants.
I guess it builds a lot of confidence for the team because we've beaten Pentanet and Peace now. So it feels like we can go to playoffs with like a pretty good chance.
Well, Thomas, have your goals changed now? Have you said, okay, well, it went from maybe just scraping into playoffs to, does it almost become making top 3, top 4, top 2? What's it looking like for you now? And have you even had a conversation about it?
Well, I think I just want to make it as far as possible. I don't know if we can be like I don't want to say it too early and jinx us, but yeah, it's like just try our best.
Yeah, fantastic. And Incurcio, I mean, I'm going to almost ask you a similar question because you're kind of in the, I guess, same upwards trajectory as Gravitas. Has it changed for you? What are you looking to do? Because, I mean, I was looking at your social media. I follow your streams sometimes here and there, maybe a bit of a lurk. And a little bit sad early on into the season, but now you're very excited. You're up and about. Talk to me about, where your head's at.
I definitely reckon we're trying to go for more than playoffs. Maybe try to get even win it, get second, third, maybe, who knows. But yeah, definitely on a hype train at the moment. We're happy we're winning a lot more games. Or hell, pretty bummed out we're losing at the start, but hey, it's turning around, so let's get those dubs.
Yeah. And then give me something like not asking for something spicy, but how do you feel coming up against Gravitas, right? Obviously what they've done has been pretty incredible in the last couple of weeks. Are you nervous? What's the feeling like in the camp?
I reckon we're not super nervous, but it's definitely pretty sick. They're beating PGG. They've definitely improved, so it's definitely a little bit how do you do, but I reckon we can still win it. It's good.
Thomas, are you favorites in this game? Is that how you're feeling? Are you favorites? Are you expecting to win? Does it come with a little more, I guess, added pressure now? Because maybe you're expecting to win, and you're like, okay, we actually have to make a statement.
Yeah, I guess now that we're kind of expected to win, it's pretty weird because we're always the underdogs, and yeah, we don't want to lose to Legacy.
I love it. Good luck, boys. Thanks for joining me for the pre-game, not post-game. But one of your teammates will be at the post-game. Good luck, guys, and thank you.
Thank you. Catch your jubes.
Oh, I got a catch your juice from Incurcio. I love that. Huh?
Yeah. Well, he certainly might catch you. I'll throw you at him one day because, again, you got to speak with two of your favourite players in the DoorDash LCO, so you must be stoked, Jubes.
I'm stoked, and eventually I'm going to get called out by the players. I'm waiting for the day the player says, you've said that everyone's your favorite player. Now, who is it really? Because then I will, if I get called out, I will say who my favorite player is. But until then, everyone's my favorite.
Oh, okay. That's big words. Hopefully, there's some players in Twitch chat that can, maybe say something later if he's doing an interview with you. But I need to ask, Thomas Shen, he sounded pretty confident. Do you think that confidence is key here, or he might be getting a bit too big for his boots and he might trip over those big boots?
It's a good question to ask. I think one big thing that like Jules was hinting at is definitely something that we've both felt is once you're expected to win, the way that you play, there's a chance that you're putting more pressure on yourself than anything else. And everyone's individual. It could be that the coaches sit everyone down and that doesn't exist. It could be like Legacy's camp, right, where it feels like Incurzio is just going to be happy no matter what. But a lot of these young players that come into the league, this is the first time that they may have majority of us even predicting them to win consistently. And that also means that the viewers may feel the same way, and that starts to add up bit by bit, and suddenly that pressure can be too much if you don't know how to handle it.
And on the flip side, Jordan, I want to ask you, how long are you the underdog, and how many wins does it take until you're the updog?
Well, I think in this instance, given where the two teams are sitting on the standings, we'd have to consider the updog Gravitas, right? Because they actually are doing a little bit better than Legacy are so far this split. That said, Legacy are running into a nice sort of purple patch. They've won 3 games in a row, so maybe their form would dictate that they're the favorite. Who knows really, Mac? I guess you'll just have to wait and see until you ask our predictions.
Well, someone that does know how to make content is Darantaris, and he's made yet another sick meme for us. So let's have a look here. Darantaris at Chiefs ESC looking pretty scary out there on the Rift, and that's no cap, but at LCO.
He's got a shield. You guys get it?
Yep.
Yeah,
he's got a shield, and the Chiefs logo looks like a shield.
Have this stuff as like merch.
And Cap is also like the short name for Captain America.
I didn't know that.
And he's also wearing a cap too.
It's also
He's door dashing it. He's door dashing it. That's the best bit.
It's also one of the Chiefs sponsors too, right?
They have jerseys themed for superheroes, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
There's just too many layers.
That's it, mate. He's putting together some crazy mental puzzle, which we've managed to figure out. So maybe make it a bit more deep next time, Dar, and it'll be harder for us to understand. But thank you for making the content. I put out the call, and you've answered. And you're the only one that answers every week so far. He's gotten on the show how many times now? At least 6, 7?
It's the Darseg from now on. That's all.
That's what we'll call it. The it could be from the fans, but it could be from the Dars instead. So we'll think about that.
What about a post-season award, right? Like we give Rookie the split. Why not just make it the Darantaris content of the split award?
Oh, could do that. And he's made some really good stuff at the moment. Maybe he could have done the tree. It was falling on Mammoth yesterday, and looks like it's could have been falling on Gravitas today. But you don't want to recycle the goods. But look, he's made some memorable ones, and especially, I feel like we haven't shown all of the ones of Jordan yet, and he hasn't.
You definitely haven't. There was a lot.
There
was. I think we only showed one of the tweets, which was actually 4 pictures. I think there was like 5 or 6 of them. And in fact, in my opinion, the best one wasn't actually shown on the broadcast. That was the one where I was like eating with a rusty spoon.
Yep.
And I was having like mac and cheese or something for dinner, and then I had spilled my nat tea. I felt like that one was sort of like the best one. It involved everyone. It was sick. I liked that one. Haven't seen that one on the show yet, though.
Well, maybe you need to have a dig at the producers, because I know them. I can get you a call with them, and if you want to have a dig, dude.
If you could, actually, that'd be great, because I do want to have a chat with them.
Mr. Phillip just said in my ear, producer Phil, by the way, he said it's a long split, so we got time to make it happen. However, speaking of time, we're running out of that, so let's have a quick chat about the predictions before we jump into Champ Select. And once again, I've gone with Twitch chat. Don't know why anymore, because they've certainly dropped the ball for me, 17 and 11, picking all the favorites. Good job, but not really. Rusty, why have you gone for Gravitas here?
I mean, for me, I think they're just more stable. Legacy have looked good. They've shown a lot of promise, but the way that I see Gravitas is that across the board, they're just slightly better and slightly more stable. And again, this is a match that's kind of hard to predict because the early game could influence so much of it. But Gravitas showing me that they can end games cleanly with leads gives me a lot more hope for them.
Well, Elfish Guy, going to let you explain your reasoning when we get into the draft, because we are running short on time, so we'll jump over to the second page and see what everyone else has gone for. Juves, you're also on the Gravitas train.
Yeah,
Only
so
that for Legacy.
my reason being is that I think Kyose's showed us a lot of discipline in the last couple of weeks. I think the one way you lose to Legacy is from a lack of discipline. You turn into that skirmish heavy Katarina reset type style play style where Sybil and Incursio really thrive, and Kyose's just said nope, not today, and he's really developed as a player. So I think that's why.
Okay, and look, I am bloody starving, and I know you guys at home probably are as well. It's 6 p.m. It's prime time for dinner. Prime time. Exclamation DoorDash in chat and save yourself a little bit of dosh. And looking here, you got Red Rooster with a deal with DoorDash at the moment. You can get 2 for 1 on your boxed meals. So make sure you jump over there and you can get yourself some dinner. Get your missus, your partner, your friend, your family, your dog some dinner as well. A little serving for the double for the one price. Whatever it is. Is 2 for 1? 2 for 1 deal.
I think it's 2 for 1, Max. Probably the one you're looking for there.
Yeah, 2 for 1's the good. Well, two for 1 sometimes is a little bit too much when you've got 2 max, but you just want 1 max. Maybe sometimes you want 0 max. Champ Select isn't ready, but if it was, you'd have no max because I'd be jumping out of the screen right now.
I had a question just about the partner thing that you said. Get one for your partner. I actually wanted to know, because I do play League of Legends quite a bit, what if your partner's Summoner's Rift?
I don't think Summoner's Rift needs food.
So I actually missed what you said, Jubes, but I did hear
How did you miss
producer
it?
Phil
I can't
tell
repeat
me
it.
the draft is ready, so let's jump into the draft. Goodbye.
Oh, let's jump into the draft. Save us from these 2 maniacs, Rusty. Get those 2
He's
out
in
of
a
here.
committed relationship with Summoner's Rift, Jordan. I've heard everything now.
Yeah, let's keep it chill. Now, we do have Gravitas versus Legacy to kick off the day, which is going to be quite the interesting matchup. The 2 teams sitting in towards the middle of the pack at the moment, but at least in the case especially of Gravitas, if they win here, could push for the top of the pack. Now, the one thing that I want to instantly note off of this draft and something that I was watching out for was the LeBlanc ban to come through from Legacy. I know we've seen 2 games in a row from Kyose with that champion. He's very, very good on it. So I'm actually quite happy to see that respect ban coming through from Legacy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he has looked good on it, and one of the biggest things that it does provide is that just ability in general to win 2v2s, right? So the LeBlanc ban does change the game plan potentially here for Kyose. One other thing that we really do need to point out is the Lulu first pick kind of indicates the Jin Zhao second pick away from it. But Lulu is also a very big champion for Gravitas. Kyose, we mentioned this last week, gets rank 1 playing Lulu Karma, top lane, and just in general, those 2 champions. So it's always a risk that it goes towards mid lane and is now an incredibly flexible first option for them. I would say it's unlikely that it goes into the hands of Safa. He seems more prevalent with the carry bruiser style champions. So just eyes peeled on how that flexes between Kyose and Floppy and enables the aggressive Akano to put in work.
Yeah, we do get the Gwen locked in. I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about that one. But I also want to talk about this Thresh. I know, obviously, you had your highlight focus on the bot lane. We have the Thresh again. What is it, like 16% win rate or something like that? Hopefully Legacy are going to be able to turn that one around. Haven't actually seen too much Thresh from ML so far this split. Only the 1 game from him. So see where that's going to be paired with. It was actually paired with the Varus last time. So not going to get that option here.
Yeah, Varus is going to be taken away. And so far this draft has panned out interestingly to me in that I feel like we've got some champions taken away from our opponents left, right, and center, right? Like we mentioned the Xin Zhao. I think you can take that away from a Lulu to get rid of some 2v2 strength and pick any mid laner you want with it to have good dueling. Looking at the Thresh pick down in bottom lane, not knowing the AD carry that can go with it, there's still Kalista, there's still a Philios. There is still, I guess, the Ashe, but that's something that Thomas Shen would play more than Styled, I think. We'll see where they choose to go because they have plenty of options. It's about the style of league that they want to play here, Elfish Guys. Like, do they want to win bot lane? Or they just want to scale up freely, where I think Legacy as a team are pretty content just chilling bot lane and letting the rest of the map put in work.
I mean, if you look at the champion selections from Legacy down in that bot lane, at least as far as the ADC position is concerned, it's always been that sort of scaling champion that can sort of thrive in a bit of a nothing lane. I mean, you've got Varus, Senna, Kog'Maw, Ezreal. Those are the 4 actually that Styled has played so far. So I would be a little bit surprised if we don't get something fairly similar. I mean, I think Ezreal here probably could definitely work in the favor of Styled, but we'll end up seeing what they do, opt for still 1 more ban to come through for Gravitas, and they've sort of focused more so on the mid and the top bans. Obviously, Incursio hovering the Viego at the moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't go into the jungle or maybe potentially even up into the top lane. So you do have a sort of hedge your bets essentially from Gravitas.
So I actually think this is going to Styled, and they're going to play Ziggs Thresh bot lane. We'll see with their last pick, but at the moment, that's what I would be expecting to see from them. Ziggs has been seen a lot more in the bot lane position lately. It does work super well into champions like Varus that just want to slowly at long range poke you down and push the wave. You do it faster, right? You've pressure faster. You've constantly got them at their turret if you're the strong side of the map, and you can play that style of aggressive League of Legends from mid to bottom and start looking to take plates instead, not just threatening ganks. And it does provide a lot for a team. If you've already got enough physical damage in your comp, which they very clearly do with a Xin Zhao and a Viego locked in already.
Yeah, obviously the buffs coming through for Ziggs certainly factor in how his strength has improved. Yeah, always eager to see the Ziggs getting pulled out. We do have the Rakan locked in for Gravitas, so I think we can safely say now that the Lulu, at the very least, will be in either mid or in top. Obviously, if the assumption is that it's going to be mid, then Kiyose will be sending that Gwen up to the top lane, and we're seeing how things go with that. Although we have seen Gwen in the jungle a little bit as well, so it's still a little bit of a flexible situation, I suppose, for Gravitas. Do get the Rise as the final champion confirmed for Legacy, and with that, then we do now definitely know that you are correct in your assumption that the Ziggs is going to go down into the bottom lane. Triple teleport for Legacy, another thing to note. Obviously, with the Ziggs being locked in, you don't tend to see the heal coming through necessarily for the AP carries when they're locked in that marksman position. So we do have the extra teleport on offer for Legacy.
Yeah, and at the moment, Safa is going to be playing the Ghost from the looks of it. Ryze is a phase rush style of champion, so perhaps wants to just be able to keep that extra sticking power. Lots of damage actually here across the board, and a decent amount of scaling for both of these teams respectively. Once again, we find ourselves with a lot of reliance on junglers and supports for engage. And if I was to say, which type of composition I favor, I'm kind of looking at the champions in general on Legacy and saying that's a really powerful 5-stack of champions. But there's so much potential on the opposite side here with what the Lulu can do with a Volley Bear, right? For diving other lanes. If Lulu's able to get priority in mid lane, they go together to say top or bottom. The turret's going to be disabled. They're never going to die. And it's a really potent duo to send elsewhere, and a lot of potential to snowball.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of that really on the Gravitas side of things. I particularly look towards the Gwen. I know we've seen Gwen a lot. Gwen's been such a talking point over this split and ever since really release. A bit of a threat up in the top lane. I think that obviously Ryze takes a little longer to scale, whereas Gwen, obviously done a pretty good job from day dot, from square one. And when you're able to sort of get those early fights maybe around the top side, could well go the way of Gravitas. It'd be interesting to see how things go here, obviously, for Varus. I mean, you've got the 2 supports there as well, so it's not necessarily your traditional like 80 carry in that respect in terms of, okay, I've got a Kog'Maw, for example. I want to have a Lulu and a Karma or whatever on the same team. And, Rakan probably doesn't necessarily tie into that quite as comfortably either, but I feel like 2 differing styles coming out from these 2 teams, and I am quite eager to see how this sort of all pans out. My one question, I suppose, for Gravitas is how do they deal with all that global pressure, right? Having that extra teleport, even the Ziggs and the Ryze, the ultimates can kind of influence the lanes as well. So that's definitely something that Gravitas is going to have to be aware of and something that they're going to have to sort of play around.
Yeah, it adds a little bit more reckless abandon for someone like Styled on the Ziggs to just throw abilities at minion waves, right? Being able to cheat that recall with a teleport back towards bottom lane. You've got the Lantern to keep you safe, and again, this is something that you could say is enabled simply by having Thresh on your team, is the ability to run teleport, the ability to play more aggressively and look for those plates. Now, it isn't, like you mentioned, it isn't the Karma Ziggs bottom lane, which I personally enjoy because it's so oppressive and pushes hard. It's much more of a stable and standard type of lane. It's just a Ziggs instead of an AD.
Yeah, so we'll see how it does pan on out, Rusty. And while you have a bit of a relax here, I'm going to have a chat with Ceres. So it's nice to see you again, Ceres. I'll try not to ask you too much about your opponents today. Let's start things off with a bit of a discussion about Legacy and this. I don't even know what to call it. It's been a resurgence, I suppose, right? You've had 3 wins in a row. Things have been looking fantastic. Legacy's in great form. But I want to get your idea of what the catalyst for that really has been.
Well, generally speaking, when you're learning something new or you're trying to incorporate new ideas, I think the rest of your game will take a step back. And I think that we're the amalgamation of a lot of slow progress. And we've been steadily building towards a conclusion, and we're starting to see the results.
Would you say, and this is something I think that we've brought up a couple of times on the broadcast, that Legacy is a momentum-based team?
I think that's fair, yeah, for the most part. We're trying to, you know, trade momentum in favor of being more consistent, and that's something we're actively working on. But yeah, for the most part, I think that's a fair assessment of us right now.
Okay, awesome. And I guess, you know, to throw one in for this particular matchup, obviously Gravitas has been on a pretty similar sort of trajectory to yourselves, right? You both sort of had a rougher split 1, and coming into split 2, both teams have kind of looked like they are at least middle of the pack teams, maybe even pushing for playoffs and top of the pack teams on their day. You guys did actually lose to Gravitas in that first round robin, if I remember correctly. So where do you sort of see yourself sitting at the moment? Are they a big threat to you? Are you coming in as the favorites, or is Gravitas the favorites? Sort of what's your thoughts on this matchup just in general?
I think that Gravitas, a couple of their wins have been in very, very long extended games where they've managed to drag out the game and, you know, win a critical team fight, make a better decision in the moment, winning off in those kinds of one-off moments. And until yesterday, it didn't occur to me that they were actually consistently winning games through good play. But yesterday was kind of game changer in their really, really convincing win against Pentiment. I think they're much stronger now. So yeah, I think it's a very even matchup. Obviously, I think that we're favored to win, but they're definitely looking good.
Yeah, awesome. I agree. I think Gravitas is looking great. Got to say, though, I think Legacy is also looking pretty good. So you've done a great job. Appreciate your time
thanks,
again,
mate.
Series. We'll leave it with you for that one, and best of luck.
Sure, cheers, mate.
All right, Rusty, a fair bit going on in the early game. I think, you know, Gravitas trying to influence things up in the top lane. Safa trying to get aggressive with that ghost popped early on in the piece. And then a bit of backwards and forwards going on in the jungle just prior there as well.
Yeah, there was so much that, like, it's always good to hear from the coaches, and I always enjoy Siri's opinion on the game, but I really wanted to talk during a lot of that because there was just so much, like, intricacy within that. As we'll hold that thought for top.
Yeah, Kano going to force the flash on through. Does get that lockdown onto Winterer, who will be forced to flash away himself. But overall, no real harm done. Winterer does have teleport available and should theoretically just be able to come straight back into this lane.
Yeah, so let's just do a mini recap on it. You saw the ghost that happens top lane. That was a result of Winter replacing a ward at the blue buff. I hope you two just trade and don't all in. And what happens here, right, is Sybil is looking to do blue to red to potentially the enemy blue buff and be aggressive. But because that gets halted, right, just through the play of Gravitas, he looks towards top lane, gets spotted on a ward, walks towards mid, and even though Kyose is postured, clearly knowing that Sybil is there, he walks through mid, doesn't make the play happen, and then just continues to make the play. So as a result of all of this time that Sybil has ultimately wasted through pretty rough decision making, and I'm being nice when I say rough, because to me it was obvious, and I don't know exactly what they were seeing. He's very behind in the jungle role. Even after that gank that Akano puts top, Sybil is hovering and protecting, so he's just still falling further behind.
Yeah, level 3 versus level 4, and fair chunk of CS behind there as well. You do see that force, that push coming through from the bot lane of Gravitas. They'll look to reset here. This will be one of those things that they need to sort of be on top of, is when their resets are going to happen, and if they're leaving a door open, a window open for Legacy to get some chip damage on that tower, how quickly the bot tower can fall. Obviously also noting that Ziggs is one of the stronger pushers in the game. So if he gets the opportunity, he's going to just shove that wave in quite quickly indeed. But looks like Legacy will take the opportunity to send ML back, while Styled more or less just freezes the wave in the bot side. Same thing happening up in top. Winterer quite happy to just take this prolonged, slow gameplay to Safa, who doesn't really have an avenue of attack when the wave is at this kind of a position.
Yeah, I'd say in general, Safa very rarely has an avenue of attack besides using the ultimate for the slow to close distance with the Ghost. Winterer being phase rush can just sprint away, but Akano very nicely positioned here, maybe the way around that fact.
Well, you're thinking about how far Winterer is stepping up, and as of yet, Akano hasn't opted to push forward. A couple of pings coming through now from Legacy up in that top side. I think they've seen the volley bear, and they've also noted that means they can go towards the dragon, grab that for free. So he managed to grab it early on in the piece, just before 7 minutes ticks over.
And they're about to see the volley bearer again at the tri-bush as he walks past the control ward. They have total knowledge of what Akano has been doing. And again, you think about the time that he has spent top, and you could say wasted. The wave is still terrible for Winterer and does need some assistance. And the perseverance of Akano could result in a kill at this point. But he's spent so much time here that Legacy have almost just got an advantage simply by existing elsewhere on the map. So well played to Winterer. Credit to him for being able to survive and for being vigilant.
Sybil might have overcommitted here a little bit. Akano forces the flash out, but Sybil ticking away the flash forward from Kiyose. Auto to finish it, but now that opens up the door for Incursio as he steals away the Lulu life. Akano tries to turn it, but surely can't get enough done. Incursio, a double kill, and you have to say that is bad news indeed for Gravitas, because it feels like a lot of the time Incursio is a bit of a barometer for this Legacy roster, and when he's doing well, Legacy is doing well.
Yeah, and why is he doing well, Jordan? It is simply because they flash forwards to try and get themselves the kill onto Sybil when I think they should be content with stability. You've got a Lulu mid lane that has cheaper item spikes. It's going to be relevant at one item. You don't have to flash forwards and make a trade like that. And I guess Gravitas just assumed and Kiyose just assumed he'd be able to get out with his life. I believe even had the ultimate, maybe didn't have enough mana. We'd have to watch that back. But because he goes down, it gives the resets. Incursio 2-0, and ultimately a huge mistake from Gravitas that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, especially giving 2 kills over to a Viego, a champion that can snowball. Nice fancy footwork from Kiyose, but I'm not sure it'll save him. Wild Growth heals him up a little bit, but Incursio looks for more damage, won't have enough in the end. Nice little stutter step really from Kiyose to dodge the death sentence.
Yeah, great little juke, and thankfully has the ultimate this time around to be able to survive. That's something that Viego did not have. Safa currently using his ultimate there as well to push the wave in. He's also going to miss himself the cannon. That feels terrible. Winterer now with priority in this lane, and we have seen this a lot already. He's been controlling and winning trades pretty nicely in top lane. So this is clearly a premeditated draft strategy here for Legacy. And I've said this before. I said it during the draft vaguely, and I'll say it again. I really do like Legacy's draft more in general. And we're starting to see a semblance now of some really good mid-game team fighting from them with the strengths that they're starting to garner. You know, the stability bot lane is still going to favor a Ziggs who gets that one item spike and becomes huge in team fights. Mid lane being 2-0 and Rise being the counter pick for top lane, holding his own. And the amount of time Akano has spent up there just to help Safa exist is doing wonders for Legacy.
Sybil once again going to be hanging around mid. They don't know exactly what they're going to do just yet, but Sybil decides to go over the wall. Akano fairly healthy. I think he does smite away the Raptor. Not sure who that went to, but Akano put a smite in, so I'm assuming it went to him. Sybil trying to put some more shots in onto Kiyose, but again, with Wild Growth available, Kiyose very safe in that mid lane. Difficult to dive, especially for 2 melee champions, and so Kiyose walks away unscathed.
While it may be difficult to dive a Lulu, it is still priority given to the Viego, and you've already seen a lot of the trades that are happening in mid go his way. So Incursio doing a lot of good work here, having the Merc trades as his first item, going straight towards a Vamp Scepter, means that he has an insane amount of sustain and limited damage from Kiyose. Now they're going to grant him the Rift Herald summons as well, so lots of pressure building through mid lane. The exact place that Legacy want to win the game through, and here comes a Ziggs.
Doesn't quite get that 4th plate, but
And
Style
bang.
certainly will be able to. And that is the first turret for Legacy, opening up mid. I mean, it's the best turret to get at this point in the game, isn't it? You know, side lanes is nice, but getting that mid turret really opens up the jungle for them on both sides. You just get so much more presence in the river as well, and so Legacy are in a great spot.
Yeah, it pushes back the point of safety for Kiyose by thousands of units, right? Which means thousands of units of vision that they have to cross through mid unnoticed. It's extra time that Incursio has to go from mid, or in this case, it could be Styled and Emelk, to leave mid unnoticed and unseen. It requires extra vigilance and vision control from Gravitas to handle it, because this early in the game, to lose that mid lane out of turret is pretty devastating, to say the least.
Yep. It's going to make contesting the Dragon a little bit more difficult once Legacy shoves this wave in. Mid Prior certainly going to be going their way. Little greeting of Gravitas in the river, setting themselves up some wards, getting some vision. Legacy don't seem to be particularly interested in the dragon here, which is interesting, actually.
I guess, you know, the total vision that Gravitas had is pretty scary. They're going to at least get that priority first and the timing first. They're currently playing towards top lane. My thinking is because you've got... Oh, hold on.
Yeah, there is a teleport coming through. That's going to be through from Winterer as Incursio gets the lock-up onto Floppy, but whoa! What is that damage coming through? The volley bear just lands right on top of Incursio, says see you later. Safa's on the chase, trying to catch Winterer. Ultimate doesn't quite connect, but he might have enough still, not quite to survive, but the kill comes through regardless for Gravitas. So a 2-for-1 trade overall for them. That said, what's happening up in the top lane may make it not necessarily so worthwhile, because that'll be another tower for Legacy.
Yeah, that to me was so unnecessary from Legacy to teleport in there. Just accept that Incursio is on the weak side of the map, that he has the teleport to help top lane, right? They just took the dragon. Everyone knows that Gravitas is on this side of the map, and while they're pushing top to get turret plates, they choose to make this play bottom. You know, Winterer does his best to try and survive, and I think the shield from Safa had to have been close to being available once again. But he does get a trade at the very least. Realistically, the goal was always a top lane outer turret. So my question remains, what were Legacy thinking? Trying to make two plays and do too much at the same time when they were already winning by pushing top for turret plate gold.
2 plates, or rather 2 towers, 10 plates even. I guess 11 if we consider that there's a plate loss in the bot lane as well for Legacy. So far, we do see about a 3k gold lead, which I imagine is primarily coming from those plates. The CS numbers are a little bit favorable as well on the Legacy side of things, so doing a pretty good job of keeping things ticking over. Gravitas are quite happy in the knowledge, though, that they've at least managed to get at least the one dragon. Thomas Shen forced to flash. Bit of an awkward position for him. Now Incursio up into the top lane. We'll have a look at Safa. Some good damage coming through.
Safa losing half of his health just to try and get that last plate, though, as it ticks over to 14 minutes and the plates will go away. This does mean that while there's less gold on offer for Styled, it's so much easier to actually take the turret, and this will drop very fast. You can see the priority from the rest of Legacy already. While Winterer has wasted that teleport prior, he did get a kill from it, but doesn't have it to join now, so Incursio is going to be just turbo weak-sided. Doesn't matter, because they're still going to win here.
Or rather, another tower, I should say. For Styled. Plates have obviously disappeared already. I'm really enjoying just watching Styled walk around the map, kill towers. He doesn't necessarily have to try too hard at the moment. He's just having a good time, farming up, killing towers, doing what Ziggs does.
Man. Everyone else is playing League of Legends. He's just playing Farming Simulator with turrets. What a
Who
life.
needs creeps when you have turrets? Sybil's quite deep here. Outside of vision as well. Kyosei not going to make the mistake of walking through that bush. And so Legacy will look to continue to put pressure on those turrets. And this is going to be a mid-tower, a mid-tier 2 tower at 15 minutes from Legacy. They are just dominating the map at the moment. Gravitas will opt to try to respond by getting themselves a Rift Herald, but there's numbers here for Legacy. Nice blast cone from Safa will get him out, but the death sentence from ML connects. And you can bet your bottom dollar that's going to be 2 dead Gravitas members. Those 2 kills donated over to Winterer, who is now 3-1, and starting to become a pretty scary looking rise.
I'll tell you what, right now, it is looking like Legacy are the actual playoff contenders and not Gravitas the way this game's been going. It's been pretty much a comprehensive handling of their opponents from go to woe. 15 minutes in, you can see the gold difference is absolutely stretching out of proportion. The decision making is, for the most part, pretty much just favoring Legacy overall. They've had a very good read on the map. They know what their opponents are doing. They're besting it. They're handling it with ease.
Well, it's going to be another Rift Herald for the Legacy roster. Their second, of course, from this game. And with the Infernal Drake starting to become a factor, 45 seconds, that Rift Herald will be quite useful in shoving a wave in, causing a bit of a distraction maybe for when that dragon does pop. Overall, it just seems like Legacy haven't really let Gravitas play this game. That's kind of the sense that I'm getting, is that Legacy have walked around the map doing what they wanted, kind of continued to keep pressure in all 3 lanes, and Gravitas have really tried to respond to those threats, but that's really all they've been able to do. They haven't been able to make too many decisions of their own.
It's basically a case of you've got Legacy playing towards the Zig side of the map, right? So he's always the strong side that has numbers and has support. And then you have Gravitas responding by vertically playing the map. Instead of matching a strong side and like staunching the turret taking attempts, they've really just been suffering to it. And I think a lot of that does result to mid priority and what that means for the state of the map. You know, Gravitas give 2 kills to Incursio. They suddenly lose a turret to a Ziggs W with a Herald that's taken as a result of the mid lane priority. And the game genuinely blows completely out of proportion from that because they just send Ziggs to places to press Satchel Charge on turrets, and it's an extra 1,000 gold going their way. This is stretched to 5,000 as a result of turrets, more than anything else, and just playing the map well.
Yeah, 5 turrets down. You got to remember, for Legacy, 2 of those turrets were when the plates were still available as well. So it's a lot of gold going over to them just by virtue of the objectives they've been taking. Winterer and Styled are the greatest benefactors of that, but Incursio's also got a fair chunk of change. So all the money going over to the people that you'd want it to be on. And it's a really slow burn, I think, as well from Legacy in this team composition. You're looking at a Ziggs. Once he gets a couple of items, he just becomes... like, he's always a little bit obnoxious to deal with, but once he gets 2-3 items, once he starts to get to that late game situation where 1Q's doing who knows how much damage, he starts to become really, really unappealing to deal with. I mean, the same can be said for Winterer, right? The longer this game goes, the more difficult he'll be to deal with. And even Viego, right? With those resets, with the ability to just sort of jump all over the place, do whatever he wants.
There's
it's a ticking time bomb, isn't it?
As well, though, right? Like, imagine you are Gravitas. You've built a composition that feels like it's going to be Lulu Varus, right? Is your late game team fighting duo. Maybe Gwen Lulu, but let's just say Lulu Varus. He's gone the on-hit build with lethal tempo. You're now trying to hit someone that pretty much can all kill you in terms of damage. You've got a Ziggs zoning you, you've got a Thresh Hook zoning you, and you're playing the low-ranged Varus. You're not playing the lethality poke Varus. You've just increased the difficulty in this game by giving them this early snowball, and that's not something that'll go away for the rest of this game. So you've increased the difficulty of execution for yourself now that you're playing from this deficit.
Particularly when Infernal Soul is what's on offer for Legacy. Now, that's probably still a while away, but it's a factor to consider. Never a fun time to be going up against a high poke champion in the same vein as Ziggs when Infernal Soul is on them. So, again, it feels like the clock is kind of ticking against Gravitas here a little bit, and they'll have to start working hard to pull things back. But they don't even really have great control of their jungles right now. You can see that Legacy are happy to be walking through the blue side here and sort of doing whatever they want, leaving Winterer down in bot to just continue that split push. And there's so much vision here for Legacy that for them to get caught off would be quite difficult, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, it'd be pretty hard. Legacy are going to prioritize that mid lane priority and play towards bot lane. They've got teleports for this as well. Style does not, but I mean, they've just committed to the 20-minute Baron, losing minimum an inhibitor here, you would say. That is incredibly bold and potentially inting.
Well, Winterer is going to grab himself the bot lane tower. Legacy are going to grab themselves the mid lane tower. This could actually be 2 inhibitors for a Baron. And I'm not sure the Gravitas will be too happy with the trade they've made. They're going to try and force something here, though. They kind of have to force something. The teleport out from a couple of the Legacy players. Oh, they're in all sorts of problems there, Legacy. But they do at least manage to get Sybil Styled and ML Galt. I'm not sure if that was a miscommunication or what, because I almost feel like if Legacy tried to turn that, they would have stood a better chance than doing half and half.
I mean, there's a chance they could have taken the fight. They were opting the safe route regardless, which I think is totally fair. You've got the mid lane inhibitor, play for top and bottom and split the map. You know, you've got your teleport advantages. Ryze ultimate does get everybody else to safety, and Winterer choosing to sacrifice himself in effect instead of going in the ultimate because they could cancel it if he was in that proximity. So at least we'll save the life of some of his teammates. But the cost was high. Gravitas get shutdowns. They break the mid lane outer turret. You would say that was pretty good for Gravitas overall, given the amount of gold that they just got from that trade.
Yeah, sort of even things up a little bit. It was about a 5k deficit, wasn't it? And now it's just around 2k. So definitely a swing from Gravitas there. And now they'll have Baron to potentially help them out to challenge this Dragon. It is up in 37 seconds and they all just reset. So I'm not sure that they'll get there in time to fully establish themselves, especially looking at the vision control that Legacy have already got here. That'll be tough to deal with.
Just got really interesting. Considering that the mid lane inhib doesn't break open a game, it's the easiest to defend, and that Gravitas have the Baron buff to defend it anyway, it's effectively giving free money to them for the rest of that duration of the inhibitor being gone. The question is the Dragons, right? If this one goes the way of Legacy, they could threaten the snowball, but I think the Baron buff has once again granted them enough access and control to at least get here first. Legacy are looking like they might want a bit of a biff, just not in time.
Yeah, they're not posturing enough, are they? And so Gravitas get themselves another Dragon. Looks like Gravitas want to find a fight here as well. Shirelia's Reverie, rather, is popped. Winter are trying to get out with Realm Warp, but will have to go golden. It's an absolute mess of a fight. The front to back seems to be working out for Gravitas right now. Kiyose surviving inside of that stopwatch, and all of a sudden, it is starting to look like the tables have turned. Legacy were in control, but who is now?
What could have been 2 inhibitors for a Baron trade has resulted in a 5,000 gold lead being equalized from Gravitas in the span of minutes. It's an incredible Baron power play from them. And now they're almost, you would say, in the driver's seat. When it comes to team fighting, they're showing clearly that they can excel. The fact that Safa lives here is almost illegal. You know, you've got Thomas Shen just dishing damage. Not a single person touches Thomas Shen. This is an on-hit Varus that doesn't even need a Lulu shield, Jordan, because that's going towards saving the teammates, as the T Shen himself just pops off with his positioning.
Yeah, definitely very difficult to get into the backlines of this Gravitas roster now. I mean, Floppy, he had a good ultimate there as well. Quickness sort of helping him not only to get into that fight, but just to lock the couple of players down right at the start that started to swing things in the favor of Gravitas. After that ends, you obviously see Akano diving in as well and sort of locking them down even further. And Legacy didn't really get the opportunity to play that fight at all.
It's just so surreal that we're where we are. How quickly it turned, right? Like, that could have just been an inhibitor in mid and a disengage, and Legacy have just made a trade, right? Then you just start to pressure, because what does the Baron buff give you if you've reset appropriately? But like, they gave 750 as a shutdown over in kills. They gave so much money suddenly, and because they were 2 members down.
Rossi, oh, you missed it. I hate to interrupt you, but there was a cat being petted in the back of Floppy's player cam.
Mid-game, he was petting a cat?
No, not him. Someone off camera. Look, there's the cat.
That's impressive. I was going to say there's no way mid-farming or playing Ricard, placing wars, just goes to have a cheeky pet of his cat. That would have been 300 IQ.
But yeah, I mean, what you're saying is exactly right. Legacy have seen this game sort of not necessarily fall apart yet, but it's in the process of falling apart right in front of their eyes. That gold lead that they had, which was 5k, went to 2k, and now it's about 1k, and starting to fall by the wayside a little bit for Legacy. Bit too preoccupied in mid, so the reset comes through from Safa. We'll be able to make sure that none of the Nexus towers do go down.
Yeah.
But what will happen here? This is what's interesting, because Legacy looks like they're about to be cut off. Safa forces the ghost through. Sybil and Winter are standing on top of a blast cone, but they can't go anywhere. Gravitas is all around them. Floppy charges forward.
Oh, Sybil's alive.
No way. Don't tell me they get out of this one. Sybil, he's just absolutely swindled them. And so is Winterer.
The cat burglars have escaped somehow. My God. They've both just achieved the Mission Impossible disengage. They split. You can see Sybil's laughing after that one. They've just robbed Gravitas of 2 kills. Those 2 kills could have once again continued to help open the map up, because they stole a bot lane inhibitor with a Rise ult. They needed to be punished for that one. And just the absolute thieves.
Well, that's the classic, oh, I think they're already dead, someone else will kill them, I'm going to go chase the next guy, and then no one kills the first guy, and they both get away. Nice flash. Coming through there from Sybil as well, just to get himself out of dodge. All said and done, Legacy pretty happy with that passage of play. And again, another twist and another turn in this game. It feels like we're on a bit of a roller coaster ride. Baron's up. So is Dragon in a minute.
Yeah, and this dragon is not necessarily worth taking as a point of priority over the Baron. Right now, you would expect that it's something that will be contested by both of these teams. They've situated both of their top laners on the opposing side of the map to the Baron, so it's clear where their priorities lie. Safa is decent at clearing supers. You can see how much damage he does to them. It's kind of insane. So not too much pressure belongs to Winterer down here besides the minions just being pushed. If I was Legacy, I would keep 4 people of priority towards the Baron buff in mid lane, and then I would just send the Rise to the Dragon and try and take that one for free solo.
Look at all the vision around here for Legacy. Control wards galore. Sybil standing on top of one still, even despite 2 of them being cleared by Gravitas.
The Scheibel with a turbo flank. It's just an insane angle.
Yeah, this is massive.
Do you Rise teleport to Sybil's positioning here?
I mean, I think Winter is just trying to take that fight down in bot. Not working out too kindly for him, so Legacy will need to make this fight work. Sybil gets locked up as he tries to dive in. The turn is through from Gravitas, and right now Thomas Shen is still looking healthy, but for how long? Sybil's on top, covered off cleanly by Akano, and Thomas Shen survives with a sliver of HP. All said and done, Gravitas are happy with that fight, and Legacy, oh, their hopes and dreams of a win in this game are starting to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, this is now 2 Barons and a teamfight victory this time. Winter is just going to Rise ult his way to safety, and anything that I suggest just does not happen here, does it, Jordan? We've resulted in just chaotic League of Legends. And Legacy are the ones faltering when it comes to the chaos. Much more cohesion on the Gravitas side. There's been moments of brilliance that we can definitely celebrate from Legacy, but this has been the opposite of clean in the way it's been handled once it became chaos.
Oh, not really sure what to say about this game anymore. Legacy have got themselves a dragon, but it doesn't seem like a fair trade for the Baron that Gravitas have got. That said, it does put them on soul point, so it's not super relevant right now, but maybe in 5 minutes it will be, if they can survive that long.
It's just not... It's not a Camille split push angle, you know? It's a Rise. There's only so much that a Rise can do, and it feels like right now Legacy's options have become split push to victory, and that's it. Because ultimately, and this is, you know, we haven't given enough credit to him beyond his laning phase, which I think there was the clear flash mistake from Kyosei. But his shields have been on point, right? He's been playing Lulu perfectly. He's been able to shield allies while staying alive himself throughout all skirmishes. Thomas Shen's been doing great work in these team fights, but Kyosei is the unsung hero of the squad right now. He's been really making up for lost time with that early misplay.
All right, well, this is where the pressure really starts to mount for Legacy, as we do start to see inhibitor turrets taking a fairly sizable chunk of damage. You got 2 siege creeps there as well, and Gravitas are going to have them continue to fire in onto that tower. It ticks below 25%. Safa keeping some presence in the mid lane as well, trying to pull players across. Incursio flashes forward, ultis onto Safa as well, and tries to do what he can. But what he can is absolutely nothing. Safa just turns it right on his face. Gravitas have an inhibitor down now. Sybil forced to ult to try to survive, tries to turn it back on top of Floppy, but realistically speaking, not the target that you want here. Still options available for Legacy as they try to make this chase happen. Sybil again diving in, but won't get there.
Safa's still going though in mid lane. At the end of the day, this is still a huge win for Gravitas.
Emil is going to follow that death sentence right on top of Safa. Again, maybe not exactly what Legacy would have wanted here. A 1-for-1 trade, better than nothing. And then Curcio goes forward once more. Floppy caught out in no man's land, cannot be saved by the stopwatch. And so Legacy, I mean, all things considered, they defend well, I guess. Losing only the 1 inhibitor there, it looked like it could be very much worse than that for a moment.
It could have been a lot worse. It could have been potentially better. At the end of the day, they put 3 people worth of resources towards trying to keep Safa down, and he almost wins a 1v3 trade. Is able to continue to push mid lane. Gravitas are the ones who take an inhibitor and then overstay to try and threaten the end of the game, because Safa was obviously fighting 3 of them, so it makes sense. But the positioning after that point, you know, when Legacy do disengage, they're caught. And then they go mid, and they continue to push. So just not knowing when to quit is a key tenet of this game so far. That definitely is something that both teams will need to look at very hard in the mirror and say, at what point should we be disengaging? But at the end of the day, that was still favorable for Gravitas. They break their first inhibitor of the game. Mid lane is now exposed, and they're able to push top. You know, you've got 2 minutes until the Infernal Soul is potentially there for Legacy, and that means you have 2 minutes solidly to work with.
Do you think Infernal Soul actually turns this game back on its head for Legacy? I'm just not... I don't get the sense that it's enough.
I think Infernal Soul would be enough to help them win a team fight, because then Ziggs could literally 1v9.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll come to that. The way that Gravitas are playing, they may threaten an end as a trade for an Infernal Soul.
Well, there's another tower down for Gravitas. It's funny to think that 15 minutes ago we were talking about Legacy having so many towers. I think it was 5-1 at one point. Now Gravitas are the ones that are actually in the lead as far as that objective is concerned, 8-7. And they'll start to pressure the top inhib once this tower does go down, which is really a formality at this point for Gravitas. Turns out they're not too interested in the inhib, perhaps sensing the priority is there for Legacy. All fairly chunked down is Gravitas.
Sybil wants to stop the bases, and hopefully he doesn't die for okay. Ooh. Whatever you like, Thomas Shen. They're stopping the bases. A fight's going to happen.
Well, the fight is going to happen, but I'm not sure that Legacy wants it right now. Styled is not there. He's taking a long time to jump on in. And starting to only now put damage down. The fight most certainly is going the way of Gravitas. Styled, he did peg one back, even a couple now with the tick coming through onto Floppy. So overall 2 for 2.
Okay.
I suppose you take that for Legacy, given how it started.
You absolutely take that if you're Legacy. You've got all 3 people on Gravitas recalling. Styled just hits the ultimate. We're looking at the Ziggs, but the ultimate hits. So Akano gets cancelled. Now once again delayed even more. 10 seconds until the Drake spawns. He's going to be late. You've got maybe a Lulu and a Varus there to defend this one. And you've got teleports from the side of Legacy to get here and hit it straight away. I mean, they're just chucking everything at Gravitas and seeing if it works, but eventually it does.
The only thing I have to say here is that Sybil is still on respawn. So if Legacy commit to this dragon, there's very much the possibility of a steal available. Looks like Akano's not even going to go for it. So Legacy will be given the Infernal Soul, and now we'll get the answer to my question. Is Infernal Soul enough to save Legacy in this game? Well,
I am looking, we're all looking at a Volibear with Flash and Smite available against a no Smite Legacy hitting the dragon. So they're trading. Sybil's got to go for it. It's Sybil.
100%. 15-15. Doesn't really matter. He was way too late. Akano gets the Baron. And Sybil forced to flash out.
Gravitas have put themselves on a clock, right? They've said, you can have the Infernal Soul, which will exist for the rest of the game. It also opens up an Elder Dragon, which is kind of unnecessary, I think, for Gravitas, who are feeling confident. They've given that option available to Legacy for the choice of the Baron buff. So the window is, can you actually close this game out on the Baron buff? Or are you giving another chance to Legacy? They've just reset Kiyose with Teleport. He must have an item available now. They made sure he got that wave. They do. It's the redemption. They're fighting fit. They've got 3 open inhibitors and 3 open lanes to contend with here. Surely they find an avenue of entry before it's too late.
Yeah, how the tables turn looking at the total gold charts there. Gravitas with the top 2 players. Earlier on in the piece, it was Legacy with 3 out of the top 4.
You know what's going to happen here? There's so many teleports of, unfortunately for Legacy, on cooldown. Never mind. Never mind. Sapphire's just built different.
Yeah, I don't know that Winterer can deal with the side lane pressure of Sapphire right now. And I say side lane pressure, it was Winterer trying to push the base. So maybe it was the Legacy side lane pressure more than anything else. But I don't think he wins that 1v1 right now. That's the second time we've seen Winterer get shoved out by Sapphire on the Gwen. That'll be a free
inhibs.
And I was going to say free triple inhib probably for Gravitas here.
I feel like Legacy have, in essence, lost the game through their playing of a side lane. Gravitas looking for the end.
Well, Legacy's going to have to do something about it. Mega Inferno Bomb goes right on top of Sapphire, but he was safe. Didn't take any damage, and I just don't see it coming through right now for Legacy. Nexus is open. Gravitas looking for it, looking for another win on the board, and there they have it. Legacy will move to 3 and 5, and Gravitas to 5 and 3. Thomas Shen looking a bit stressed after that one, but they've got it done. No need to be worried.
I mean, I feel like, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, they stole that game away from the hands of Legacy pretty convincingly there. There was a point where 2 inhibitors were potentially open, and they were 5,000 gold down at 20 minutes on the dot, but they turned that within minutes, right, to being an even game. And once they had control, like we mentioned before the game even started, Gravitas do feel like a more cohesive team and have shown that they can end through multiple ways now. And they really have brought their squad together. That shows here, but it was still Legacy's game.
Look, Mac, if Gravitas can turn around split 1 to split 2 and do something like that, maybe you can turn around your ranked form as well. Hopefully things are going to improve in that respect.
What do you mean turn around? I'm going, well, we're at Silver 3 now. We're on the come up, hey?
On the come up. Maybe we can get gold this season. What do you reckon?
I reckon if I play more, I haven't been playing a lot over the last couple of weeks, I must say. Oh, couple of weeks, yes. This particular last week, not too much. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Gravitas, another W on the board, and now that's going to put them up next to Peace on, what, 5 and 3 at the moment, so that is big. Legacy doing a lot of good work throughout the game, but again, you know, you've mentioned that they did prioritize certain things when maybe that wasn't the key at said point. Hopefully they can go back and learn from that as they go and move forward throughout the split. And there was some moments of brilliance and moments that, yes, made Gravitas really scared, but Gravitas, it just seemed like their focus always seemed to be that little bit better in the team fights.
There's a couple of things here for me, right? It's one, Legacy seemed to be capable of only really putting all their eggs into the team fighting basket.
Yeah.
And the second they tried to do other strategies, it started to fail for them. And two, Gravitas have shown that they're willing to make snap decisions, that they can play around more than just team fighting, and that the growth they've shown has been outstanding through just the course of this split alone. And that basically gets them across the line, because the comp here for Legacy, Mac, is quite simply Ziggs chucks damage at them until they get a Viego reset and the game ends. But they just never got it to work.
Yeah, well, they got a wriggle on. It certainly was working very early in the game. You know, 2 towers with full plates for the Ziggs. That's certainly something to write home about. But then the gold diff went back in the other direction. So, Gravitas, 8K in the lead, or more 7K if you have a look at it, you know, when we're going ifs and buts. But, Jordan, what do you take away from these numbers here?
Well, a lot of damage done by the Ziggs. That's probably the one takeaway, but I suppose when you're playing Ziggs, you do tend to inflate the damage numbers quite a bit. I thought it was a really good game played by Thomas Shen. You know, he's got a difficult task dealing with the likes of Viego and Xin jumping on top of him, and the Ziggs doing all that damage from range. And we sort of spoke to the fact that he's obviously not playing that that longer range style of Varus. He's playing more auto-attack based with the build that he's gone for here. So he's able to sort of dodge up, dip and dive and do all that sort of fun stuff. And I think, did he end the game deathless? We don't see it on this screen, but I think he actually went quite far through that game without a death. So it's a pretty impressive result if so. Overall, I think that's probably my takeaway. Great work from Thomas Shen.
Yeah, well, Thomas Shen doing really good work. I don't think that is who Juve's going to chat to, though. Juve's down on the sidelines. Come on. Who you got to have a swiggity swag? A little chin wag? Yeah. True. Yep. Who is it?
Okay. I don't know if my... Okay. Sorry, I was just a little bit confused. Not because I was confused, just a little things in my ear, but all good. I got Safa. Safa, let's go. Yes. Safa, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Little bit of a win streak coming together there for the Gravitas squad, and I must give you a compliment before I give you a question. I think if you really had a much improved split 2 and been, you know, a big part of the resurgence of Gravitas, talk to me about that early game. Were you getting a little bit Monka-esque?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, there was a whole lot of nothing going on for like 15 minutes. I think, I can't tell if we were like scared or like worried. I think maybe Sybil just has that effect on people where like he just, it's like, oh no, is he here, is he there? But like at one point we were just like, you know what, like just do it. Like just do something, go in, team fight. They can't stop, they can't peel off Rakan, they can't peel off Volibear, just go at them. And like from that point forward, we just started to take the game back over.
And that's what I thought. Watching it back, I was like, this is not the same Gravitas that we saw yesterday, just pulling the trigger time and time and time again. And it almost felt like it took a little bit of a deficit for you guys to pull the trigger. So who's behind that? What's behind that? Who's making the call? Is it just everyone trusts everyone now? And as soon as someone says something, it's go time? Like, what's the feeling like when you're playing the game?
I think for me, look, typically I would run the shot calls for the team for like the better half of the game. It's just usually Akane will definitely run a lot of the early game. But I think as soon as I got out of lane and I started to like take back like the leader position into the later parts of the game, that's when I felt a lot more in control. And that's when I was able to say go. I said, look, Thomas Shen, look, if your ult is up, I don't care if it's Thresh, I don't care if it's anyone, just ult something, just go. Like I don't care, just do something and we'll blast them from there.
And you're becoming a little bit of a side lane demon yourself, bit of a solo bolo late game in the bot lane. It wasn't actually seen on camera, so unfortunate for you, but nevertheless, what's it been like for you pivoting from, playing solo queue now to diversifying, being able to play the Gwen so well, the Aatrox, the Camille? How do you think you're tracking along as a player, to date?
I think it's like kind of like a rebranding. I think a lot of the time I would just pick, like I used to just pick my comfort champions and I just pick it into anything, and then depending on how it affected the game, like I guess I never realized how much easier it is to play the game once you just play for like what the comp needs and like what the meta is, if that makes sense. It's just if Camille sucked or if Camille was good, I just lock it in.
100%. Well, congratulations on the game. Go celebrate, enjoy yourself. You're probably not playing on Friday, so I was going to say don't get too crazy with it. But nevertheless, thanks for joining me, Safa.
No worries, no worries. Thank you. DoorDash is taking care of us here.
Yeah, is that okay? Love to see that.
That was a smooth save. I got to say, I got to be honest. He's done well.
I was wondering where that was going. I was like, what's he about to say, huh? And,
you know what stood out to me, Juves, just quickly, was the you understanding what it means to play for the comp. Because if you asked me from Oceania who's like the 0-10 comp player, it's you and Carbon that stick out. Because you had to do so much for the team, and a lot of it does involve dying just because of the champion you chose.
Yeah, you either got to be down in a deficit, whether that's 40 CS or whether that's 40 deaths. Fortunately for me and Carbon, you could never get reported in competitive play. The actual function didn't work. So it never got reported by my teammates.
Well, lucky for you, and also lucky for someone else, we do have the DoorDash player that delivered. And of course, it is the man that altered whatever he wanted to. It's Thomas Shen. So big congratulations to Thomas Shen down in the ADC role, down in that bot lane. 5, 0, and 11, 84% kill participation, and has the ADC 21 wards placed. Rusty, how excited are you?
I mean, I'm excited to watch him play, and there was one team fight that stuck out to me in particular in mid lane. I know that wards are always the place that I usually start back, but just the way that he was team fighting was what stood out to me the most, honestly. To be able to position in a team fight where a Lulu doesn't need to shield you says a lot when you've picked a Lulu Varus type of composition. And then there's 21 wards on top of that as an AD carry, which is kind of insane, by the way. Because that's about 21 more than my average AD carry purchases. So that's very impressive from T-Shed.
He also didn't die. So we did get that confirmed 5, 0, and 11.
Yep, that's what you guys were asking for. So Thomas Shen seems to be a bit of a hero for the moment. Let's see who is going to be the hero for Mammoth or for Order, as we do have match 2 coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go too far. DoorDash LCO has more on the menu for tonight.
This could actually be 2 inhibitors for a Baron, and I'm not sure the Gravitas will be too happy with the trade they've made. They're going to try and force something here, though. They kind of have to force something. The teleport out from a couple of the Legacy players.
Gravitas looking for the end.
Well, Legacy's going to have to do something about it. Mega Inferno Bomb goes right on top of Safa, but he was safe. Didn't take any damage, and I just don't see it coming through right now for